You might remember last year we had Mike Shaw in the studio with us, talking about diversity and inclusion and the new British standards for it. Well, he's back, this time, talking to an organisation in the private sector that is the first to achieve that standard.
Last summer I spoke to Kim about the launch of the British Standard in Diversity and Inclusion, and my hope that it would have an impact on helping organisations to develop their inclusive work practices. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Yvonne Saxon from Vista Employer Services, which was the first private sector organisation to achieve the standard. Hi Yvonne.
Hi Mike.
I suppose the first question really is what were the drivers for you to look at the standard?
When we first found out about the standard, we thought about the fact that we do an awful lot of work in the dignity at work space and a lot about managing and changing behaviours and training around that, and felt that the standard was an opportunity for us to hold up the mirror to ourselves and actually look at, well, are we practising what we preach? We think we're pretty good at this, so is that actually the case? And that was the main reason why we wanted to do it.
And kind of what, it's obviously early days I guess still, but what kind of impact is it been starting to have?
Well, I mean, we had an amazing result very, very quickly actually. We recently recruited a graphic designer into the organisation, which is a very different type of role for us to have. And the kind of skill set that we wanted with that, we wanted lots and lots of boxes ticking, and we're actually struggling to find good people out there. And the lady who applied and has been successful and is now working with us actually stated that one of the reasons why she applied to us was because that we've achieved the diversity and inclusion standard. And so she's now working with the organisation. She's making a massive difference to the graphics on materials and training materials that we use. And perhaps without the standard, we might not have attracted her to us.
That's really interesting. So a real quick impact there.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of more generally, we know that people that can kind of be themselves, come to work and be open, are more productive teams, have a better output for the organisation. What are you kind of hoping for, maybe, sort of longer term for the standard as it kind of impacts on your organisation more widely?
I think what we're looking for is attracting really good talent into the organisation, because that was a great example very, very quickly. But then around all these different elements that different people can actually bring to us, because if we're all sitting here thinking we're all pretty good at X, Y and Z, and we can bring somebody else in who actually can achieve more around A, B and C, adding all those things together within the organisation for us can actually make a massive, massive difference to innovation, because we're very keen on developing innovation, on developing our services and developing the way that we actually engage with clients and people outside of the business. So we think that that can make a massive difference for us.
You mentioned sort of your supply chain in a sense. A large part of the standard is about impacting on the supply chain and your partners. Kind of how's that working? How are they responding to this? Really
well actually, because one of the things that what we didn't want to end up with, and this is where the standard has been really flexible, because often when you're a small business and you're tendering, businesses want you to tick an awful lot of boxes. And actually, if we're using a supply chain with other small businesses, they may not have achieved something like this. But that's not a problem, because actually we can influence them, because we can say to them, these are the things that we do, these are the things that we'd like you to be involved with as well as a partner with us. And that actually can make a difference to their businesses as well, but by doing it in a much more subtle way than the usual tender processes.
Yeah, it is more subtle, but it's good to see that kind of having that wider impact, really, isn't it? Because I think that's probably how these inclusive work practices develop, maybe that ripple effect. And actually, in an organisation, I know it's not a huge organisation, but how are you kind of helping to ensure there is that kind of effect across the whole organisation? I guess kind of consistency across it?
I mean, we are a fairly small organisation, so we don't have some of the challenges that some of the big organisations do. But it's really very much around training our managers and training the employees here, not just in the legal implications around equal opportunities and things like that, but also around what a difference diversity and inclusion does make to the business, and some of the awareness that they need about what some of the issues might be that might not be that obvious. So, you know, for example, some of the training that we're delivering now, we're thinking about how might we make that more accessible to people who have disabilities and things like that. So it's just about educating people and improving their awareness across the business.
And you're saying that's maybe was something you hadn't maybe thought about originally, perhaps, but are there any other things you're kind of maybe a bit surprised about, or you're looking at a bit differently as a result of having gone through that process?
Yeah, I think for us the whole concept of, well, why is it diversity and inclusion? And when we actually thought about the inclusion bit, there's a great quote from Verna Myers, who says that diversity is about being invited to the party and inclusion is about actually being asked to dance. I think that's a fantastic quote, and it really, really spells it out. But we've actually thought about that a little stage further in that, well, actually, why are you asking that person to dance? What is it's important to your organisation? So what was important to us about why we would ask that person to dance? And when we boiled it down for us as an organisation, it was basically because it's the right thing to do. Other organisations will have different reasons perhaps, but that was it for us. And that was just, it was just one of those things that came out of it.
Yeah, that's it. I love that quote, and that's really interesting, that addition to it actually. So hopefully there's other people sitting out here now thinking, well, that sounds interesting, I'd like to follow that up. What's your kind of advice to anyone else thinking of looking at the BSI standards?
I think for whatever reason you do it, be authentic about it. Make it work for your business, make it be part of what you do. Don't try and be something you're not. And be realistic about what you can achieve. You know, you don't have to have the world's best D&I strategy. The standard is very, very flexible. And just get on with it and do it. Start doing something, because if you wait for the perfect strategy and the perfect circumstances, you'll be waiting an awful long time. And actually just getting out there and doing something, you will already start to make a difference into your organisation.
Great advice. Basically, just get on with it.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Well, appreciate the time, Yvonne. Thank you very much and good luck with your continuing journey.
Thank you.